So all month long we've been celebrating our winter holidays. Hanukkah, last week's winter solstice, and now today Christmas. And really the theme of all of these holidays are the same. And that is the theme of the light prevailing over the darkness. The theme that there are incredible resources available to us at all times. Even in the most dark of times, these resources are available, but we have to be willing to be open to them. And there is the rub for each of us, all of us. Because we as a people have difficulty with that. You know, we all have wounded parts of us that are afraid and anxious and are angry and at times in despair. And these wounded parts of us want to defend and protect ourselves, and at times have a little temper tantrum and say, I don't need anybody or anything, I can do it all myself. And that's kind of what we as a human race have been doing all the way from the beginning. We can take it all the way back to Adam and Eve, when it wasn't enough for them to be in paradise and have everything that they wanted. No. They wanted to be God, just like God. And when they realized that they weren't or they couldn't, there was all of this shame that they felt, and so they hid from God. As do we. We all have this tendency to want to hide from God, to want to close down our heart, to not want to go to this light, to this love, this healing, which is always available. And the divine knows this. And he's known it all throughout history that this is the way that it is. And because he is the faithful Father that he is, he has always, always, always been reaching out to us, establishing covenants with us, saying, I love you, I want to be your God, I want you to be my people. He did it with Moses. He did it with Abraham. And yet, we continue to walk away. So, he is so faithful. He loves us so much that he just said to himself, all right, I got to try to get it through these guys' heads. I'm going to go there myself. I'm going to go in person. I'm going to hang out with you. I'm going to break bread with you. I'm going to party with you. I'll heal you. And ultimately, I'm going to give you the gift of the Holy Spirit, which is my divinity, which is in each and every one of you at all times. It's in there, always. We just have to be able to open up to this. We have to allow this Christ to be born in us today. We have to allow this Holy Spirit to be there. We have to acknowledge those wounded parts of us. I have to be willing to see and feel the way that my father-in-law is in so much pain right now. After a year of pain, trying to recover from a major stroke that he had last January, he fell and broke his hip, and he's in the hospital going through this terrible ordeal. And this shakes my parts to the core. It's so hard for me to understand how this God that I know loves us so much can allow this to happen. And yet, we are being called and invited to trust, to surrender, to open up to that light that is often there in the darkest of times. And in fact, it even seems to be a part of the whole equation that it's only when times are the darkest that we're willing to break down and fall to our knees and be open to that light. This faithful Father calls out to us each and every day, giving us all kinds of opportunities to do this. Conversion, opening ourselves up to the divine, is not a one-time process. It's a process that happens every day. Every day we're invited and we're challenged to do this work. And I got to tell you, it at times is a real challenge for me. The Christmas story, however, provides me with inspiration. I see God reaching out to us in this dramatic way. I see Jesus coming here and unfolding and beginning to understand, and him going through this all as a human, going through this process, the same exact process. I see Mary and Joseph that are just like mind-boggling to me. You know, the idea of an angel of the Lord coming to me and saying, there's this child that's going to be coming to you who it's going to be your job to take care of and be his earthly father. Even though, you haven't biologically conceived him. The level of trust, the level of love, the level of being willing to give it up. To see the three wise men, the Zoroastrian priests, the kings, discover that there's a new star. And to be willing to travel from China, months following this star, not knowing exactly what it was even going to be, but something inside them was calling to that, was calling them to that. And just having that determination and that openness and their willingness to give their gifts, which is the same as our being willing in love, in devotion, to give our gifts, to allow our own lights to shine. I've recently started watching the TV program Homeland. And in this past week's final episode, you have the two main characters that have fallen in love with each other, and they're leaving for possibly what might be the last time. And Brody says to her, "Thank you for giving it up to me." And at first, I just looked at that and said, "Oh, that's so corny." But that phrase just kind of hung with me, and I've kind of been thinking about it all week. And I've been thinking that's what it's about. It's about us being willing to give it up. Us being willing to give up the ego. Us being willing to give up the illusion that we can actually be in control. Our willingness every day to open up to that love which is always present. This is the invitation of Christmas. This is the good news of Christmas. And good news it is. Good news it is. And what an incredible Christmas gift it is. What a blessed gift we are given by our faithful Father. And this is why I've chosen the offertory song, Faithful Father, to do today, as a way of us just thanking Him for being such a faithful Father. Merry Christmas.